everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Tim and Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Today, I got my guy, Justin, on here. Justin, what's going on, bro?
I'm good, man. Sekou, how are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you joining. We've done a number of these, so Justin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is, of course, Justin Saunders. Right now, I'm a management consultant, senior consultant at Deloitte, specializing in strategy and data analytics.
Awesome. So that's a really quick intro, but you do a whole bunch of things, man. And at a certain point, you had to get your start. So what really compelled you to get into data to begin with?
Yeah, so I started off my career in engineering, actually. So I went to school for mechanical engineering. Came out, I was working at Pratt and Whitney doing manufacturing. So in the world of manufacturing, data is a big element of that. Lean Six Sigma, and that's kind of my first love when it comes to data. Teaching you how to map out a process, teaching you how to monitor the inputs and outputs and understand the nature of your data coming in and out and how your process works, and then taking that and finding problems and then using those inputs and outputs to solve your problems. And I'm like, all right, this makes a lot of sense. I'm a very analytical minded person. So I just kind of stuck with that, man. And that's how my introduction into data started.
That's dope. That's dope. So really analytical, it just kind of just became natural, just the brain wave and thinking about it. It was just an easy, I guess, step in to get into the analytical space.
Yeah, I just remember I was in like one of those cohorts, those rotational programs, and I just remember looking to my left and my right, and I don't think anybody was excited about the data as I was, the data element of things. So I felt kind of odd, but I think it all ended up working out because I since then I have left the engineering sphere and have pushed more heavily into the data sphere, and things are working out really well.
Dope. That's really dope to hear. All right, so going to pivot a little bit and thinking about your career, and there's probably been some roles or jobs that probably have not been your favorite. So tell me about one of your least favorite roles that you had, and why was it your least favorite? And it could be from high school to where you're at now, just any job that you had that you didn't like.
Yeah, least favorite roles. I would say, honestly, kind of still touching on that, is being a manufacturing engineer on the shop floor. There's things that you love about it and things that you don't. You know, the people that you work with are amazing. There's a mixture of people. Some of the stuff that you do can be cool at times, especially if you're doing like proactive work using the data. But a lot of what ends up happening as a manufacturing engineer, and this is no dig, this is just not what was for me. Your machine breaks down and like that's what you're focused on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the next day,
Yeah.
week, month, whatever it takes. And it's just, they're looking for innovation, but a lot of times what you're doing is fighting fires. So you can't innovate if you're fighting fires. And that just wasn't the kind of role for me. So 6 years of that and I was done.
Yeah, I'm good. Time to move on and pivot. Let's do something else.
Yeah,
I love
for
it.
sure.
All right. So thinking about your journey as well, what is one lesson that your job has taught you that you think everybody should know?
Yeah, I would say one thing I think everybody should know is at some point in your career, once you kind of figure out what you're good at and what your unique value add is, it's no longer about how hard you work, but it's about how not only what unique value you bring to a team or a company, but also how good you are at marketing that so that people understand what that is, so that, when your name or when a position becomes available, they're looking for you because they know that your qualifications match what they're looking for in the position or the role. Um, and that took me a while to really embrace because I'm not like one of those people like you even at the beginning, right? You asked me for the intro. My intro was 2 seconds. Like I
Yeah.
just don't really like putting myself out there like that. But this whole thing I'm learning at Deloitte, we just left this like Black Leadership Conference, and they're really talking about branding. And you hear
Yeah.
about branding. I've been hearing about branding since I entered the workforce, but I don't think it really clicked until recently. And so that's what I'm starting to do now, is now that I've identified my value add, my unique story, my unique niche, now it's how do I kind of accentuate that brand and echo it throughout the business so that people understand what I'm here for.
Yeah. That branding's huge. It's like
It
one of the
is.
things that like when you're in rooms or if you're not in a room but your name gets brought up, like what are they saying? Like what's the
Yeah.
whether it's bias or the warranted words or whatever it is, right? What are people saying about you?
Yeah.
Or when they first meet you, they go look you up. I got to look at your online profile, and what
Right.
are they saying, right? What is going to come to mind? So that brand is like really huge. I think I had to learn that probably within the last probably 3 or 4 years, roughly, like how
Yeah.
big of a brand it is, and it's. I wonder if you. So, question on that. So, have you seen where you might have a personal brand in person, but then an online brand as well, or have you seen people kind of merge the two?
Absolutely, man. And that's still something I struggle with because up until this year, I'd say I've had no online brand. That
Yeah.
just did not exist. And so I'm trying to build that now to kind of match what my brand is. And I'll give a quick aside. So I have a nonprofit also called Urban Professionals Community, and that's where my passion lies. So you may have seen that if you kind of surfed around. It's about wealth building and for the young Black professionals community and trying to educate and equip ourselves through community on different ways to build wealth. And so I find myself trying to merge those two things in the Deloitte space, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm realizing now that your online brand does have to be present because, like you said, you kind of did some research on that before, talking to me. And for sure, other people are going to do the same before they
Oh,
sit down in meetings with you. And they're going to have that background, and that's going to be the easy tie-in, but it has to be consistent.
yeah.
So the more inconsistent it is, the harder I think it's going to be for you to kind of navigate in certain spaces. So that'd be my take.
Yeah, love it. Love that take. Great take. All right, pivoting a little bit to another direction. We all have a journey. We all have started somewhere. Sometimes we get stuff right. Sometimes we get stuff wrong. So, what would you consider your biggest failure? Well, quotation marks failure, and what did you really learn from that lesson?
Yeah, I would say because I don't like to look at a lot of things as failures, but there's certain lessons in my life that stuck with me, and one of them was an interview that I bombed. So, okay, so I was at Pratt and Whitney entering my career, and then after 6 years or 4 years, I moved into Northrop Grumman. That was my second job out of school, and shortly after starting that job, I mean, it had to be no more than like a month or two. I got hit up on LinkedIn by a recruiter for a job at AT Kearney, which at the time was like another management consultant company. And I didn't really know nothing about it. So I did my research. I thought I did well. I went on LinkedIn, looked up some connections, second tier connections, said, hey, my name is so and so. We went to the same school. I did that whole prep thing, helped me out for this interview. And then I got to the interview and still bombed it. And so the lesson that I would take from that is what happened afterwards, because I don't know that even to this day that there's anything more I could have done to prepare for that interview. And normally I do well with those. But I will say that what I took from that is like, oh, I'm never letting this happen again. Let me understand this management consultant space. And that's what led me to go get my degree in business analytics and all this other stuff. And so years later, now I'm at Deloitte, and I still took that direction, but there was definitely a pivot there. And so I just learned it's like these things that happen, maybe a door closes, but it can kind of the fact that you were exposed to the door, you're like, maybe that's a direction that I want to go. And so that's what I did, and that's where I am now.
Man, that's so awesome to hear. And I swear, like I said, I've done a number of these. This will be episode 50 plus. And every single person that has flunked an interview or failed an interview, they don't forget that feeling. Like myself
No.
included. Like you don't forget that at all. And it's one of those things, like even afterwards, like
Yeah.
myself, like I've done like, I don't know, 20, 30 plus interviews beyond.
Wow.
And I don't vividly remember a bunch of them. I remember
Yeah.
some,
Good.
but I vividly remember this one I tanked, and like
Yeah.
it's like a thorn in my side that just constantly drives me. But it's like golly, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's a consistent theme. Is like you do not forget that one at all,
Right.
and you
That's
always
right.
grow from it and learn from it. But it's such an annoying thorn, and you just wish it wasn't there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, you do, but that thorn can kind of help shape your future. So
Yeah,
it's like a
for
two-edged
sure,
sword for sure.
for
Yeah.
sure. All right, so thinking about this as someone who's just starting out in their career, what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career in data?
Yeah, I would say definitely figure out. So you say a career in data, and I think this is kind of a general career nugget, but I guess in data I can kind of tailor my response. So In general, one nugget I would give is figure out what your path is, right? So similar to before, like your brand, even within data, what's your brand within data? What are you doing within the data space? And then figure out the game that surrounds, the environment that you're in, whether it's your company or the business or industry, and learn how to play the rules. Because you can think that there's no rules and you're just going to Beauregard your way through, but you're not. You got to figure out the rules. And then once you master those rules, use that to pivot your career in the direction that you want to go, consistent with your brand, and make it make sense. And I say that because and I love Deloitte, and this is, but the culture of consulting, if you choose to take that route, is that you have to do a lot of extra things beyond your day job. And you got to do a lot of favors for people, you got to create connections and step out with your best foot. And you can do that to the point where you get led in a direction that you don't want to go in because you're not communicating your brand, because you don't know exactly what you're trying to do. So understand that, figure out what your path is, and then, when you network with people, communicate that so that they can help lead you in the direction where you want to go rather than where other people want to go or want you to go. And that's no shade to them. They're just trying to do their job and they're trying to do what they think is good for you. But if you don't tell them what you want, then it's going to be hard for them to put you in the place where you feel that you should go.
Man, that's like sound advice, and really, I love the nugget of understand the rules of the game, because
Yeah.
there are rules, there are unspoken rules or spoken rules, but there are ways you got to maneuver and move around to get to
Yep.
where you eventually want to get to. That's 100% a
Right.
great gem. All right, Justin, where can people find you at online?
So I'm kind of a ghost like on Instagram. I'm gonna give you my nonprofit Instagram because that's more about what I'm about. And that's at UPC underscore DMV, so Urban Professionals Community, DC, Maryland, Virginia, UPC underscore DMV. And on LinkedIn, you can actually reach out to me on LinkedIn.com/, I guess, IN/ Justin R. Saunders, and you'll also find all of my stuff there as well on my page.
Awesome, man. We'll have the links in the description as well. So click, add them, do all that stuff, and then we'll get them to be a content creator at some point. So one day we'll see YouTube / Jay Saunders or whatever as the content. So we'll get them. We'll
Love it.
keep working on them. We'll make sure you get some content out there.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's do that,
Awesome.
man. Appreciate you.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you, Justin, for joining me on Tim and Tuesday. This was a great episode, man. I appreciate it, bro.
All right. You too, man.
Awesome.
We'll
And
talk
like I
soon.
said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Have a great day.